Chapter 32, The Long Hair Incident. Ring! It was dawn. Zhu Tui was jolted awake by the loud sound of the doorbell. He opened his eyes. He felt extremely energetic. He felt that he had slept enough. However, he was still lacking something. It would be perfect if he could stay in bed for a little longer. However, the doorbell was still ringing. Zhu Tui could only force himself out of the bed. At that instant, Zhu Tui felt as though countless little hands were pulling at him under his blanket and preventing him from getting up. However, a handsome young man like him always had immense willpower. He flipped over his blanket and got up from the bed with determination. He opened the door. Of course, he had to put a pair of pants on before he opened the door. Zhu Tui guessed that it was a staff from the student reception center waking the students up for roll call. But why were they that dedicated? Shouldn't they be calling the room instead? He rubbed his eyes and opened the door. The figure standing outside the door immediately caused Zhu Tui to shiver. He instantly straightened his posture. He even put the hand that he was rubbing his eyes with down. Zhu Tui, whose shoulders were exposed, felt extremely awkward when he saw that it was Zhao Xoxui standing outside his door. She was wearing a large blue medical-grade face mask. It was alright that he was half naked, but having just woken up this early in the morning. Miss Missin, why are you here? Zhu Tui stammered and squirmed. Do you intend for me to speak to you while standing here? And Zhao Xoxui swept her gaze past Zhu Tui. He could not see her expression because of her mask. Miss Ang, come in, close the door. Alright, Missin, why did you come? You could have called me or sent me a message. I'll definitely look for you as soon as possible. Zhu Tui, who had no idea why the professor had come, could only close the door. Close your eyes, and Zhao Xoxui instructed. Zhu Tui froze. It looked like Zhao Xoxui was going back to her usual style. However, when Zhu Tui thought about how powerful she was and her style, he felt that he did not have the right to question her. He quickly shut his eyes. At this instant, Zhu Tui felt that he had to resign himself to his fate if he lost anything. He was too charismatic after all. I've placed a piece of paper on your table. Now, gather your focus and read the contents of the paper, and Zhao Xoxui commanded. She's testing my ability? Zhu Tui suddenly realized. He was not ashamed of his thoughts. He was just a little disappointed. It was so early in the morning. Did you? Zhu Tui could still enter the right state of mind quickly. He focused and saw the contents of the paper on the table. 0.95 kilograms of passion fruit. Price. It was a shopping receipt. The words on it were extremely small. However, that did not affect Zhu Tui's mental senses. That's enough. And Zhao Xoxui kept the receipt, then said, I tossed a piece of hair to a random spot in the room when I entered. Can you find it? Missin, aren't you stepping on the strand of hair? Zhu Tui was shocked. Alright, you can open your eyes now. Zhu Tui did as he was told. Have you tested to see what the largest radius of your senses is? The room is a little small. The distance at which you sensed just now might be less than 3 meters. And Zhao Xoxui was very professional. Miss Anne, I've tested it out back at home. The radius is roughly 3.12 meters. Zhu Tui trusted in Zhao Xoxui. He did not hide anything from her. And Zhao Xoxui nodded gently. Your mental sense should be assessed during one of the tests today. If you are willing to trust me, I think that you should hold back a little during the test, and Zhao Xoxui said. Hold back? Zhu Tui's brows furrowed, confused. Miss Anne, what you mean is that I should cheat? And Zhao Xoxui glared at Zhu Tui. Zhu Tui waved his hand quickly. No, I understand your intentions. You are asking me not to reveal my limits. That's right, both in terms of the distance and the clarity of your mental senses. Hold back, and Zhao Xoxui suggested. Alright, Zhu Tui gave a direct answer. Zhu Tui could tell that Zhao Xoxui did not mean him any harm. But Miss N, can you tell me the reason? Zhu Tui asked. I'll be able to take better note of it myself. What do you think that your level of mental senses is best suited for? And Zhao Xoxui returned a question. What is it best suited for? Zhu Tui rubbed his chin. Sniper? That was impossible. Wouldn't a sniper at 3 meters be a joke? He thought for a moment. Zhu Tui's brows suddenly trembled. Surveillance through walls? Or peeping? Do you understand now? Your ability is best suited for obtaining information. However, that is a waste. Most probably you will be asked to be a spy that has to investigate an organization, and Zhao Xoxui was very direct. A spy that had to investigate an organization. That sentence caused Zutui to break out in cold sweats. Miss N, why would there be a need for such a spy? Do you think that the genetic committees of the major sectors of the Blue Star Alliance are collective? If they were a collective, why would there be a need to split them up into so many sectors? Do you think that the genetic pharmaceutical companies and the various genetic research institutes are all operating a charity? That includes the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. And Zhao Xoxui said just enough to make her point known. She did not say anything more. If you continue to have the mentality and worldview of a high school student, you wouldn't even know how you died in the future. Thank you, Miss N. Zutui understood what was going on even though he had not been through such a situation in the past. He had read many novels and watched a lot of dramas in the past. However, after the experiences he had the past few days, Zutui suddenly understood something. Reality was often more unbelievable than fiction. If he thought along the lines of Zhaoxu's logic, the outcome seemed probable. Zutui's ability would truly be invaluable to a spy who needed to collect information. Of course, what I said was merely a suggestion. You can choose whether or not you want to hold back. If you want to become part of an intelligence team or a spy, you can ignore what I just said. And Zhao Xoxui nodded. Intelligence? Spy? Zutui shook his head in a hurry. The latter option would often result in him vanishing without a trace. Zutui, being a hot-blooded teenager, did not like it, nor was he willing to do it. Miss N, how much of my ability should I hold back? Zutui asked. And Zhao Xoxui definitely knew more than Zutui in that regard. At least half. For both the distance and the clarity of your senses, I personally recommend that you hold back by at least half. This might affect your level assessment, but it would definitely benefit your future and safety, and Zhao Xoxui explained. Half. Zutui nodded. Miss Anne, then are there any other areas that I need to hold back in? Do you have them? Zhaoxu's tone was thick with disdain when she asked that question. You can display your full strength in the other areas. The more talented you are, the more it looks good on me. And Zhaoxu's expression lightened a bit. That's right, with you being enrolled into the School of Enlightened Mind, you have automatically been assigned to being my student. Do you have any problems with that? And Zhao Xoxui asked. No. Zutui quickly shook his head. He did not have any problems. He had to say that he had no problems even if he did. Otherwise, Zhao Xoxui would definitely kill him, recollecting a sentence that Zhao Xoxui had said just now. Did you think that everyone was operating a charity? Zutui thought that way. If there are no problems, sign here on this report. And Zhao Xoxui handed him a report. Zutui was startled. Was this an agreement for him to sell his body? Zutui knew that he was mistaken after he finished reading the report. Detailed report of the battle on the June 12, 2137, 1847. There are statements that involve you inside the report. You are also a key figure in the incident. You have to ascertain the contents and sign before we submit this to the higher-ups. And Zhao Xoxui moved closer to the report and pointed at a few areas. There was a hint of fragrance in her long hair. Zutui took a few whiffs, then quickly restrained himself. The special condition that plagued men in the morning had just vanished. If it came again and got noticed, then the outcome would be. Zutui looked through the report. There were no problems. That included the description of how he spotted the spy, Cha Yifeng. There was a little contention with who killed the modified human Ahu. Zutui's name was put as the person who killed the modified human, and Zhao Xoxui had already signed her name there. Miss Anne, you've also taken action. You should take credit for it too, shouldn't you? Zutui said, there would definitely be rewards for killing the modified human Ahu. Don't be confused. It's yours. Furthermore, there should be a good number of rewards. It should be helpful for you. Sign it, and Zhao Xoxui urged, thank you, Miss Anne. Zutui once again expressed his thanks. Within Zutui's mental senses, and Zhaoxu's silver pills had been a fraction of a second slower than his steel ball back then. However, they were all fatal wounds. Who could really clarify it? If an official organization was to judge the events, they would most likely attribute the credit more to Zhao Zu. And Zhao Xoxui had actively confirmed that Zutui was the one who killed the modified human. Currently, Zhu Tui really needed that. Zhu Tui had to accept the goodwill. He signed on the paper, and Zhao Soxui kept the report and was about to leave. Suddenly, the doorbell rang again. Zhu Tun and Zhao Soxui looked at each other. Who could it be this early in the morning? Zhu Tui was a new student who had just arrived at the school. They seemed to notice something. Zhu Tun and Zhao Soxui did not move as they silently waited for the person pressing on the doorbell to move. However, the person pressing on the doorbell was very determined. He continued to press on the bell. He pressed on the bell and knocked on the door. He even started to shout, "Junior, it's time to wake up. You'll be late if you don't wake up now. Go and open the door," and Zhao Soxui said after a moment's silence. Zhu Tui nodded in a daze. He was prepared to open the door. Coming. Zhu Tui thought that he was dressed inappropriately when he reached the door. He quickly turned back and put on a t-shirt. He opened the door and saw a young man with multicolored hair. He was whistling. "Hey Junior, what are you doing so early in the morning? Why are you not opening the door?" The teenager with the multicolored hair had not finished his sentence when Zhao Soxui walked out of Zhu Tui's room. "I've ascertained that you've signed the report. I'm leaving." And Zhao Soxui, who had put on her mask, took a step forward. Her ponytail swayed from side to side as she left Zhu Tui's room as if no one was there. The teenager with multicolored hair looked at the leaving Zhao Soxui, then glanced at Zhu Tui. His mouth formed an O. His expression was complicated beyond belief. It was also extremely pained. "Well, come up with a plan together. How's that?" Zhu Tui's brain turned dark. He could not understand what was going on. He would look guiltier if he tried to explain it. It was best not to say anything about it. "We got into an accident on the way here. Missin came to get me to sign on the report." Zhu Tui only said one sentence. He looked into the room as he reached his hand out. Cheng Mo went to the medical center. Hearing this, Chai Zhao immediately shouted exaggeratedly, "Oh, wow, you are too much. To think that you would injure your roommate so seriously that he needed to be sent to the medical center for your date. These kinds of methods, you sure are a champion." Stop. Cheng Mo has a fracture. He got attacked on the way here. Oh, FCAC. You sure are merciless. To think that you gave him a fracture. Zhu Tui was speechless. "Senior Chai, it's not what you think it is. If you are going to continue being like that, then he'll have to get Missin back to talk to you about this." Zhu Tui was a little pissed off now. "Then forget it. I know. I understand." Chai Zhao nodded his head in a hurry. However, the next instant, he let out another exclamation, "Long hair. There's a long strand of hair beside your bed. That is definitely." Zhu Tui was speechless. "Also, Junior Zhu Tui, you put your t-shirt on upside down." Zhu Tui was speechless.